This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. You're waking up, stepping outside. Yes, it is Thursday. It feels like it has almost every day this week, though, because of that gloomy sky and just the drizzle.
Yeah. It's felt like Thursday every day this week?
Well, no, it's felt like the same day every week.
Oh, I got you.
It's not Tuesday because she doesn't like Tuesday.
I hate Tuesdays.
We call it Terrible Tuesday now.
Right.
I thought it always was Monday, but
it's Monday for me.
Well, somehow Monday was the beautiful day this week.
Yeah, Monday was a beautiful day. Because Olivia hates Tuesdays, I guess Tuesday is just rinsing and repeating every day.
I got beef with Tuesdays.
So I guess this is Olivia's fault. We'll see. Listen, I will take full responsibility for this. I'm fine. For those of you heading out this morning, we are seeing some areas of fog, a little bit of that lower visibility as well, the low clouds across the area. And with that, we're also seeing a little bit of that drizzle and mist going on too. Peeking into E-Town, everything is rolling fine, but it's just straight up damp as you're heading out. That's the best way to explain it. Just a damp outside as we have these clouds around in that front off towards our south. So as we continue throughout the day, you're going to keep the clouds overhead, watching for temperatures trying to climb into the 50s, and we'll keep an eye on some more of that light rain, some more of that drizzle for this afternoon and into the evening. So a coat, a jacket, of course, the umbrella to deal with some of that rain, and the Wave Weather app, all very helpful tools on a day like today. Rob.
All right, Tawana, great advice, and it's 7:01. Good morning. I hope you're having a terrific Thursday so far. And as Tawana said, make yourself comfortable and safe on the roadways today and take your time. But the good news right now, no major accidents to talk about. What a great shot. This is a live look at 65 at the fairgrounds. Traffic moving along at a pretty good clip out there. No slowdowns, no kind of incidents to report at this hour, but certainly watch your speed. Your drive times on 65 through the metro at 10 minutes or under to the right there. A lot of green on 65, the thoroughfare throughout the metro area, and that's a good sign right now. We're seeing a couple of traffic slowdowns because of some impaired or disabled vehicles, but right now the traffic cameras on Kentucky traffic camera systems looking pretty good all across, with traffic moving along pretty steady. Back to you.
And it just, you know, after seeing what I've seen, you know, when's the next time an airplane's going to fall out of the sky?
More emotional reaction as the city continues to recover from the deadly UPS plane crash 2 weeks ago. Leaders are asking business owners near the crash site to be patient as they work to reopen the area.
But business owners are wondering if they'll ever feel a sense of normalcy again. Some businesses say they have been able to go back for a couple of hours a few times to collect some of their equipment and materials. This video is from a warehouse in Bullitt County. That's where Quantum Inc. is storing materials now that they use to make their product. But the company's president says he is worried about their future. Employee Philip Bill says it's hard to explain what he saw and went through 2 weeks ago, and he says the emotional toll will stick with him.
It was just a huge explosion, and all I could see was just a wall of fire. And at that point, I was like, I'm dead. So I hit the floor, and just before I hit the floor, the only thing that went through my mind is, who's going to take care of my wife?
City leaders say they can't give an exact timeline of when they expect Grade Lane to reopen. They said weather could delay the work they're doing to get people back to work. And tributes are still pouring in for the 14 people who were killed in the plane crash. Grade A Auto Parts lost 3 of their employees and some customers too to the crash, and they made a post on Facebook about those who were killed and the impact they had on them. We have more details in this story on wave3.com. Now, 15 days after the devastating plane crash, MSD and partner crews are going through creeks right now, cleaning up any wreckage and oils around the site.
Wave News reporter Julia Richardson visited one of the 3 active cleanup sites and takes us on a tour with MSD leaders as they explain the testing work that's still left to do.
MSD officials say around 95% of materials spilled during the plane crash have been collected. That includes over 900,000 gallons of oily liquid. But this containment process will likely take a couple of months. Take a look.
Never quite experienced something like this before, but we do train all the time on emergencies and emergency response.
MSD's Chief of Government and Public Affairs, Wes Sidnor, says crews started their work about an hour and a half after the plane crash.
But the longer that time goes, the more flow goes downstream. And the more it goes downstream, that's more area that you have to cover to recover these materials. And so I think big kudos to our industrial waste department in getting out, responding quickly.
And they haven't stopped since. Wednesday, we got an inside look at one of 3 containment sites. This one is in the outer loop. Crews are using floating devices called containment booms, which collect oil and other runoff materials so that they can be separated and tested for any contaminants that they may have in them.
There's a whole list of items and constituents that we are looking at. You have the situation with the crash. You had the materials that were used to put those fires out. You had an oil recycling facility that had some damage and had some leaks.
Sidnor says MSD is helping a contractor with the cleanup and will also help with testing as those samples start to come back. Once those samples are analyzed, it will determine when MSD will be able to end cleanup efforts in certain areas. This process is expected to happen over the next couple of months. MSD says the crash has not impacted Louisville's water supply. Julia Richardson, Wave News.
MSD leaders repeat there are no active risks for families drinking water because of the spill. Anyone who could have been impacted has likely already received a call from the Louisville Water Company. Tonight, the Louisville Orchestra will be putting on a tribute concert to honor the victims lost and those who were hurt when the UPS Flight 2976 crashed. It'll be in the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts, Whitney Hall. Music starts at 7 o'clock with doors opening at 6. Louisville Orchestra music director Teddy Abrams says music is just one way to bring healing to the city. The concert is free to attend. There's also free parking in the 6th Street Garage.
Today, the Kentucky Parole Board will conduct a full review on a man convicted in connection with the death of a 6-year-old Woodford County boy. It comes after Ronald Exantis was released early from prison and then rearrested in Florida. Exantis was charged with stabbing and killing Logan Tipton in 2015. He was found not guilty of the child's murder by reason of insanity, but convicted of assault on the attack on other family members. He was rearrested in Florida because police say he failed to register as a felon. Exantis waived his right to a final revocation hearing. The parole board will determine if his release will be revoked or not.
A man who was already in jail is facing new charges after police say he shot and killed 2 people near a Kroger on Derby weekend. 28-year-old Reggie Rahim is now charged with murder. Police say 3 people were shot outside of the Kroger on 28th Street on West Broadway around 2 a.m. on May 3rd. 2 of the victims died. Rahim was already in Metro Corrections on unrelated charges.
President Donald Trump has signed a bill directing the Department of Justice to now release the files related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. The president revealed the signing in a social media post, framing the release of the files as a transparency effort that he pushed through Congress. He also criticized Democrats over their past associations with the convicted sex offender. Democrats have been critical of President Trump and his past relationship with Epstein, pointing to his name being mentioned in emails from Epstein that was released by the House Oversight Committee. President Trump has consistently denied any wrongdoing and involvement in any of Epstein's crimes. What's not known is how the Department of Justice will release the file. The bill requires Attorney General Pam Bondi to release all unclassified records tied to Epstein within 30 days. 2 years ago, Mayor Craig Greenberg got a big win from state lawmakers with a $100 million investment for downtown development.
This year, he's asking for more funding for downtown. Rob Wells is back with more on the story. Rob?
Hi, Olivia. When asked how much the city is actually seeking this year, Greenberg said, quote, as much as possible. Could it be as high as $100 million again? Well, only time will tell. Greenberg said that the money secured would go toward continuing improvements for housing, transportation, voting rights, and utility assistance. This in addition to millions of dollars for downtown revitalization, a first responder new training facility, and Jefferson Memorial Forest. Greenberg says he'll have to work with the Republican majority in Frankfort to secure any funding. Republican Representative Jason Nemes says that he hopes his colleagues in the state legislature understand the impact investing in Louisville can actually have.
My hope is that we can bring as much back to Louisville as we can. Louisville's the economic engine. We're 18% of the population. We're 24% of the revenues. And so obviously we want to help everybody, but we want to make sure that Louisville gets its fair share as well.
Mayor Greenberg adding that yet another investment would also be made for creating tournament-ready athletic facilities that would make Louisville even more of a tourism sports destination. For details on all 26 requests listed in Greenberg's legislative agenda, we provided a link in this story on wave3.com. Olivia, back over to you.
Thank you, Rob. Plans are being made for a veterans home community in South Louisville. They call for 25 cottage-style homes and a common area. The proposed site is just off Dixie Highway in Valley Station. Volunteers of America is leading the project, leasing the nearly 11 acres of land from the Metro. But several people who live near the development have some concerns about the logistics and the property's elevation. The neighbors we talked to say they still support the project's mission.
I know the veteran community that is unhoused are more vulnerable, and I don't want them to be put into a situation that they don't need to be in.
The Metro set $10 million aside in COVID response money for the project's development in 2022. That will support a majority of the development costs. Another $400,000 was used to buy the land in 2023. The property will be transferred to VOA once the community is fully built.
Coming up, more cases of illness now tied to a baby formula brand.
What the Food and Drug Administration says to do to keep your infants safe, that's coming up.
The number of botulism cases linked to a recalled infant formula has now increased. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports 8 new illnesses in 15 states, and one of those is Kentucky. 31 infants have now been hospitalized. No deaths have been reported. The FDA says it received reports that this ByHeart whole nutrition baby formula is still on some store shelves in multiple states. The agency also says it was sold online and shipped globally. In southern Indiana, Clarksville police posted on social media warning pet owners to make sure their pets are accounted for.
And that's because they found a small alligator. Yeah, didn't expect to see that one in Indiana. Police didn't give any information about where it was found or how they discovered him, but they posted, quote, "Friendly reminder, when you move, make sure you bring all your pets with you. Yes, even alligators." I'm sure they didn't expect to have to put that out there, but we reached out to police to learn more about where the animal was taken. But a heads up, if you do want to own an alligator in the state of Indiana, you have to apply for a permit through Indiana Fish and Wildlife. So, hey, something to keep in mind if you get the urge to adopt an alligator.
There you go. Yeah. And by the way, it's the same in Kentucky, too. All right. I saw Ryan Hoke had posted on social media. Everyone is already starting to really flip out about the potential for the end of next week.
I mean, that just sounds like pretty on brand for people around here, too. You hear snow and you go crazy and buy everything at the store.
It's been all over social media, really. Here's my little caveat on it. beware of people posting single model runs because the models will change. I'm going to tell you that right now. The models will change for the end of next week in terms of what we see. It's just going to be a slow process nailing down that forecast. But it does overall look pretty cold as we round out next week and we get into the beginning of December. What we're dealing with right now, plenty of clouds overhead, peaking in the Bardstown where things are dreary, but at least a little bit more festive as everything's already decorated there in the center of Bardstown. We're dealing with a lot of the clouds overhead, that mist, that drizzle to start off the day, a lot like what we saw yesterday. Your temperatures are in the 40s again across the board, a little bit warmer for those of you in Campbellsville and Columbia where it's currently 50 degrees while the rest of us sit into those 40s. Now more of us will climb into the low to mid 50s for afternoon highs, but that is it. The clouds overhead, that light rain coming our way will not allow us to warm up very much, but we'll see more of that drizzle. We'll see that light rain continuing to push through for the afternoon into this evening before additional heavier rainfall shows up for tomorrow. Today, we're still talking about less than an inch of rain, less than a tenth of an inch of rainfall in our forecast. Tomorrow is where we can see more than an inch trying to show up in some spots. Let's see a little bit more about what we're going to be dealing with on your Friday. That rain chance bumping up as we get into the late morning and the afternoon, staying high through the afternoon and evening. A lot of what we see for the morning looks to be rather light overall, but by the afternoon, that's when the heavier rainfall will come into play, and we'll see those totals really racking up in some spots. So for tomorrow, we're talking about around another 1 to 2 inches of rainfall across our area, especially across Kentucky. Now on Saturday, while some showers may still be around before the sun ever comes up, by Saturday afternoon, it's all about that sunshine and highs in the 50s. We keep the sunshine in the 50s on Sunday. And once we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week, we will be keeping an eye on another area of low pressure, bringing some more rain showers into our forecast for that time frame. The question is, how far into Wednesday will that linger? This particular model has it moving up pretty early on Wednesday morning. Some models have it sticking around through Wednesday afternoon, so we'll keep an eye on that trend. The end of next week, of course, trending on the cooler side overall, or dare I say colder side. So we'll have that jet stream stretching across parts of the Ohio Valley. The question is, how deep will these lows go? Where will the lows show up across the Ohio Valley, across the eastern seaboard? Because that will dictate whether or not we get any wintry weather and when we get that wintry weather as well. So which is why I'm saying, yeah, it's going to be cold for the end of next week. And just take a lot of what you see on social media with a grain of salt.
Okay, thank you. This morning, we're hearing from Indiana Governor Mike Braun as he says he'll continue to try to push state lawmakers into a special session. Governor Braun blames Senate President Pro Tem Roderick Bray, also a Republican, for the delays on calling a session to redraw Indiana's congressional maps. On social media, President Trump has called on lawmakers to change the map so there might be more Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives. Bray says Indiana Republicans do not have the votes for redistricting. Governor Braun says Bray killed the momentum Republicans had.
And the Senate was quickly getting there before Pro Tem Bray decided to pull the plug on it. Hoosiers, conservatives, and Republicans are going to increasingly say, minimally, bring this into a public discussion. And when you do it, get something across the finish line. Otherwise, our state Senate will be an outlier with all the other states that have already done it or that intend to do it.
In a statement, the Indiana Democratic Party calls the attempt to change congressional maps a power grab and a scheme to rig the maps for a man in Washington who's afraid of voters.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney will be laid to rest today. The 84-year-old passed away this month after battling pneumonia along with cardiac and vascular disease. Cheney served in the White House with President George W. Bush for 2 terms between 2001 and 2009. More than 1,000 guests will attend the invitation-only funeral service at the Washington Cathedral. That includes former President Joe Biden, among all 4 living former vice presidents and 2 former presidents. But neither President Trump or Vice President J.D. Vance were invited to the service.
And still ahead, even though we're 1 week away from Thanksgiving. Are you thinking about Christmas decorations?
Some people are already getting that trees. And if you don't have yours, we'll tell you where you can buy your fresh Christmas tree this weekend. That's coming up next.
A big event that a lot of athletes in our area put on their calendars every year will not go on as originally planned. The Ironman Louisville 70.3 Triathlon will not happen next year because of some road projects going on in our area next summer. The Louisville Sports Commission made that announcement yesterday. They say the event was paused because of extensive road work across Louisville and Jefferson County that would impact the course. Ironman says they hope to return in the future when conditions allow.
With the holiday season coming up, you can help families across our area have food on the table during the holidays through Kroger's Food Angels program. While you're checking out, you'll see a Christmas tree near the cash register. You'll be able to pick a donation to the Salvation Army Food Angels. Those angels have different price ranges, including $2, $10, up to $25. The donations will go on a gift card that's good at any location, so families can choose the food items they want to buy.
Any amount makes a great difference, as you're thinking about needs during this critical time, it matters the most. So making sure that you're able to help donate and making sure that we're serving our customers.
Food Angel donations will be available at all area Kroger stores until Christmas.
This year's Light Up Louisville Christmas tree was cut and it made its way through the streets of Louisville until it made it to its new home in downtown. It's a Norway spruce. It was donated to the city by a homeowner on Silver Oaks Court near Waverly Hills. Louisville's Urban Forestry Department got the tree ready earlier this week, and then it was cut down, put onto a truck, and then made the journey to Jefferson Square Park. And look at that. We saw that big tree yesterday morning on the TriMark cameras. Over the next couple of weeks, it'll be decked out for Light Up Louisville, and then they'll flip on those lights Saturday, December 6th.
It's a nice escort there.
Right.
Well, you can soon pick out your perfect Christmas tree at Waterfront Park. Christmas Tree Lane opens tomorrow, and you'll be able to check out a variety of trees, wreaths, and seasonal decor from Book's Christmas Trees. It'll all be set up along Witherspoon Street, directly across from the Great Lawn. Christmas Tree Lane will be open daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. until their inventory is gone.
It's funny, they call those redneck reindeer.
They're cute, but I get an artificial tree every year, just the same one every time. What
You
about
just
you?
pull it out?
Yeah.
Well, I'm allergic to real trees.
Oh.
Yeah, so it has to be an artificial. We'll be right back.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good morning. I'm Shannon Cogan. Tonight, the Louisville Orchestra is putting on a tribute concert to honor the victims lost and those who were hurt when UPS Flight 2976 crashed. It'll be at the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts, Whitney Hall. The music starts at 7. The doors open at 6. Louisville's orchestra music director Teddy Abrams says music is just one way to bring healing to the city. The concert is free, and there's also free parking in the 6th Street garage. Let's go to Tawana right now for those heading out this evening. How's the weather?
It is going to be dreary throughout the morning all the way into this evening. We're seeing exactly that kind of weather on our SkyTrack camera in New Albany with the low clouds, that drizzle, that mist going on. And that is what the majority of us have to deal with this morning. So that's something to keep in mind. But overall, continuing to watch a little bit more of those clouds overhead as well. The clouds have kept us cool overnight. This is why we're waking up temperatures mainly in the 40s to start off the day. Once we roll into this afternoon, going to try our best to climb into the 50s for your highs as we add in a little bit more of that drizzle, some light rain, especially for those of you along and south of I-64. Once we head into tonight, yeah, that drizzle still around. We'll see even more of that rainfall showing up for tomorrow. So tomorrow does have a much better rain chance than today, and we'll add back in some sunshine just in time for the weekend. Rob.
Tawana, thanks so much. 265 in Billtown Road causing a little bit of a traffic snafu this morning at 7:28. Reports coming in the last few minutes of a 2-car crash. You see that marked right there where the little red icon is. Again, that is 265 at Billtown Road. So you're going to watch out that area. A couple areas giving us a couple slowdown spots there. You see the yellow icons that shows us a few disabled vehicles, but nothing else that's really troubling us out there this morning. If we see any other changes, we'll let you know. Make it a great Thursday morning, everybody.
Good Thursday morning to you. Thanks for sticking with us here for Sunrise Extra. I'm Olivia Russell. Hopefully your Thursday's off to a good start, but it's been so drizzly and just gross outside all week. Somehow Monday was the prettiest day of the week. We have plenty to get to this morning, talking about some big honors for our professional soccer team coaches here in Louisville. Plus, we're going to sit down with Marissa Burke as she dives deep into those numbers on the Kentucky Department of Education's report card for all schools in the state. We're going to be diving specifically into JCPS. But first, it's been 9 years since Tommy Ballard was shot and killed as he was hunting with his grandson. Ballard was shot in the chest early that morning in 2016 while walking and hunting on family property. While police ruled his death a homicide, that case still hasn't been solved. Ballard was the father of Crystal Rogers, and her remains still haven't been discovered since her presumed murder. 3 men are currently serving prison sentences for their roles in what happened happened to her. The FBI is still offering up a $10,000 reward for any information that will help detectives identify and arrest anyone responsible for Tommy Ballard's murder. A southern Indiana man is behind bars in Washington County on charges related to child pornography. 22-year-old Eric Crawford faces 3 counts of possession of child porn. Indiana State Police started an investigation late last year into child sexual abuse claims. During that investigation, officers say they found photos of another juvenile victim unrelated to the original investigation. Crawford was arrested in Harrison County and taken to the Washington County Jail. A mother and her son are in jail after police say they were working together to steal cars across Jefferson and Shelby counties. Court documents say Mark Hernandez and other co-defendants stole a total of 5 cars from Jefferson and Shelby counties. Police say those cars were driven to his mother's house, Crystal Meredith, who then followed the stolen vehicles to another drop-off location. Mark Hernandez and Crystal Meredith were arrested during a SWAT situation on Lacona Lane on Tuesday. Police believe the two worked with at least 3 other co-defendants. Those 3 co-defendants have not been named, and it's not clear if they're in custody. A state report card on JCPS highlights many different aspects of the district. In addition to tracking students' academic growth, the Kentucky School Report Card also measures safety in schools. The data shows JCPS ranks above the state with students with behavior events. The district also made some changes recently to their schools to tackle some safety concerns, like adding weapons detection systems, school resource officers, and safety forums. Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood says they're addressing every problem and seeing fewer incidents.
We were getting reports from our chief and looking at our data, and there has been a decrease at this point when we compared where we are today versus last year. We are seeing a decrease in behaviors in discipline and in various areas that, again, were concerning to us. So it's happening, and I'm sure by the end of the year, we should be seeing that overall improvement.
Wave News reporter Marissa Burke has been digging deeper into the other aspects of the school report card data, and in just a few minutes, she'll be joining us here in the studio with an in-depth look at some of the other challenges the district is facing. The state report card also determined what the best public elementary school is in the state, and it's in Clay County. The Kentucky Department of Education state report card says Oneida Elementary, with a total of just 113 students, is the best public elementary school in Kentucky. That's based on things like test scores, school safety, and the overall environment of the school. Those results come from the standardized testing the school completes each year, as well as a survey for students. The school's principal, Thomas Hayden, who went to elementary school at Oneida, says he understands how it can feel to be overlooked compared to those larger schools across the state.
To be honest, just loving them, just like they're your own child. I mean, because you don't go into education thinking you're going to make a lot of money. You do it for the love and the accomplishment of seeing a child grow and be able to grasp a concept and see their face light up.
And you can find much more coverage of the Department of Education School Report Card on our website, wave3.com. There's a new fire chief at the Clarksville Fire Department. The Clarksville Town Council announced Brent Wilson would be appointed as the new chief, replacing former Chief Brandon Skaggs. It comes after Town Council President Ryan Ramsey said the council had some tough conversations the past few weeks about the fire department. Wilson has served the department in a full-time capacity since 2001 in various roles, including sergeant, deputy fire chief, and fire marshal, and has been named firefighter of the year twice. Our partners at the News and Tribune report Wilson's role of chief started immediately, while Skaggs will continue to work at the department as a captain. A high school in Louisville is rallying to support an animal rescue organization with a spirit wear line, and it was designed by the students. Its tagline, "See the good, be the good." Wave News reporter Meredith Lee tells us the inspiration behind the campaign in this story that highlights what's good in our community, and a warning to some viewers that some of these images of Penny's journey may be upsetting to some.
One of the best students at Assumption High School doesn't do homework, is usually out of uniform, and sometimes sleeps during class. But even teachers agree she's a great role model.
When she is in a room, everyone just gravitates towards her with that beautiful smile and just the love that she emanates.
Hello, hi Penny. Hi. That's because Penny is the school's therapy dog. Penny's been attending Assumption for around 4 years, where she's made plenty of friends since a teacher adopted her.
She just was so resilient. It was incredible to watch.
Mrs. Lindsay Peets says she found Penny through a social media post from the Arrow Fund, a nonprofit that rescued her in 2020.
It was not a smiling photo as you see right now. It was these big sad eyes. It just drew us in and her story, and we knew we had a bigger purpose.
Penny's previous owner abused her. She'd suffered multiple wounds and 3 broken legs. Then she was left to die on the roadside, wrapped in a plastic bag and thrown out of a moving car.
Multiple vets recommended euthanasia. She saw several, and they just didn't think she could have a quality of life.
After multiple surgeries, complications, and a leg amputation, the gentle pup is doing much better. She even got her license to bring healing to others, too. Sophomore Marilyn Shoemaker says she'd spent plenty of time with Penny at school since her freshman year.
I mean, who wouldn't want to take a break from work and come pet a dog?
Marilyn wasn't alone. Penny was already somewhat of a school mascot.
I asked Miss Peets, honestly, partially as a joke, like, hey, we should have Penny Peets spirit wear.
With some help from the staff and designs submitted by dozens of students, that idea became so much more.
I love that the girls saw that Penny's cause was important to Penny, but also to them. And so one way that they could do that was to create a fundraiser.
A way to support Penny's mission and give back to the group that saved her.
Penny has become a sort of icon to Assumption. So, there's kind of a thanks for giving us our dog, basically.
And look at Penny go there. Now, students at Assumption High School plan to bring their efforts to Frankfort in the spring to represent Penny and push for stronger animal cruelty laws. And you can find more information in our full story on wave3.com. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes with Marissa Burke diving deeper into the Kentucky Department of Education's school report card. Well, state officials have released the Kentucky report card, and it's been out for a day now. They did release that yesterday, and it highlights students' progress and shortcomings for an assessment test that they actually took last year. So Marissa Burke joining us now. She's the one who got to dig through all of that data for us and kind of come up with those numbers and put it into perspective of where Jefferson County Public Schools stands right now. So what should parents know about these scores, and what did we learn from them?
We've learned a lot. The big thing I want to first mention is that they changed their grading scale for this test about 3 years ago. So you can't compare the previous test to this one. So that's that pre-pandemic. So in 2022, when we first got those numbers, it's like this is now where we can track the growth. And that's what we're seeing in these test scores. So the big points that people like to hear about, graduation rates. JCPS hit like a little more than 89%, which is about 1% more than they were last year. So some good news there. And then when it comes to test scores, I know that's the real thing of subject matter. Science scores went up. I don't really think of kids like to explore science like they used to or go outdoors, but their science scores were tremendously better than they've been in the previous years.
I mean, there's a big push for STEM and students learning about STEM fields. So, I mean, hey, maybe that could finally be showing up in our numbers here.
Absolutely. And since you brought that up, JCPS actually did make some changes to their curriculum for math and reading, but it's still a little too early to see if that's paying off in the test scores. But we will get to know a little bit more in next year's numbers because those second graders, they're little babies right now. Yeah. Next year's going to be their first year of testing and they're fully immersed in this new format. So that's going to be something we want to make sure we're following.
And these kids, I mean, we've got to think about it. They've learned differently than you and I did, even students much older than them, because those are COVID kids.
Absolutely. And I was really interested to see where those COVID babies of elementary schoolers, where they're looking, what their numbers are looking like, because in 2022, that was one of the points Dr. Polio pointed out, was that those elementary schoolers were showing some, learning delays. They weren't really hitting the benchmarks, and that was showing in the numbers. But now, when we talk about the grade breakdown, the middle schoolers excelled. They did better across all grade levels compared to everybody else.
Interesting. Okay, so we've talked about some of those successes, but what are some areas for improvement?
Oh, that's I hate to bring people down a little bit, but there are 41 CSI status schools, and that stands for Comprehensive Support and Improvement. So those are the bottom 5% of schools statewide based on this test. So those are the ones that are going to need a little bit of, I guess you say, TLC to bring them up to par with the rest of the state. But, one of the things I felt like Dr. Yearwood said that was kind of encouraging was those are the places that have the most growth or best places for growth. And he looked at it as more of a positive than a negative.
Okay. Yeah, definitely thinking of this as a positive. And for parents who want to dive into these numbers, they say, hey, my child goes to this school, they want to go to this high school. How do they dive into this data? Because this is available to them.
Absolutely. And they actually did change some things that I thought were beneficial to parents. You might not be a data person like myself.
You are a big data person.
I am. And they added these change indicators. So you can actually see, okay, they're doing better. And it'll show like a little arrow pointing up or a little arrow pointing down, or even just maintaining. So that at least lets parents know you don't have to look at the number and go, okay, what was it last year? You can actually follow that a little bit easier.
And I mean, it's not just Jefferson County schools too. We're looking at schools across the state too.
Absolutely.
How does Jefferson County stack up compared to them?
When we look at this bigger picture, I think it's best to talk about how the kids across the state are recovering from COVID.
Right.
So it's really hard to say, like this district is doing better than this district, things like that. But overall, the commissioner of education, he said that, you can't compare, like I was saying earlier, you can't compare our pre-pandemic test scores with these because they changed that grading scale. But things are looking better. So Kentucky students, keep doing what you're doing because you're going in the right direction.
And Jefferson County Public Schools, the biggest school district in the state too. So I'm sure they have such a big amount of schools that they pull this data from. So I think it's so important to really dive into your kids' specific schools, right?
Absolutely. Because you really want to know like where your kid stands. Like some of the things that I thought were interesting too, is when we break down the grade levels and what schools are going to be needing to work on. The elementary schoolers, they saw a decrease in reading and literacy. And we know that, you remember our little, the rhymes like Miss Mary, Mac, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kids aren't playing those hand games and learning those different skills that we did. And so that's one of those areas that district leaders are already noting that, okay, we need to work more on this so that this, it's just like a little trickle effect, kind of like a snapshot to say, okay, we got some work to do. And then with the middle schoolers, like I said earlier, they did great on their test in all subjects. But then the high schoolers, they didn't do too hot in reading. And so those are the areas that district leaders are, really paying attention to.
I mean, and that's something parents can work on at home too, telling their high schoolers, hey, I want to challenge you to read a book every week
Boom,
or
there it
something
is.
like this. You know, it's something that the parents can really take away from this is, hey, here's what your kids can work on too.
Yes, and it starts at home for some of these things. Like you said, like read a book every now and then. Reading comprehension, little things like that can make a big difference when these assessment tests come around. But I also want to make sure we do highlight outside of academics, this test does cover like school safety and students' well-being. And one of the things I thought was interesting is when we look at behavioral events, that's how it's categorized on the report card, JCPS ranks higher than the state in behavioral events. But I know we cover a lot of those incidents, and Dr. Yearwood said that they are decreasing when we look at the actual number compared to last year. So this tells us a lot about school districts and how schools are performing, but it doesn't just cover academics.
And Marissa, you are the one who really dove into all these numbers and looked at all the raw data. Is there anything else that you want to add that hasn't been mentioned yet?
If you are curious about those schools that ranked in the bottom 5%, we do have a list on our website, and be careful if you try to look it up on Kentucky's Department of Education website. There's a little bit of, learning curve when you're navigating through all this stuff, but I have made it a little bit easier to find. So you can visit our website, wave3.com, and see if your student school is on that list. But again, just kids keep doing your best, and parents just keep supporting them along the way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for being the one to dive into those numbers, because like I said, it can be a lot, certainly overwhelming, and you do a full day of prep work for this too. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with some sports highlights and headlines coming up in just 2 minutes. Well, we know it's basketball season, and the U of L women's basketball team was back in action last night. It was their last game to try to get everything in place before they take on their rivals Kentucky on Saturday. The Cards faced off against Morehead State, and it wasn't much of a contest from the beginning. The Cards took a 28-point lead into halftime. They never looked back. That final score, 96-49. The Cardinals scored a season-high 96 points. They had 11 players who entered this game to score against the Eagles. Louisville also had 7 players score in double figures. That's the most in a single game since November 16th of 2023. Indiana men's basketball team is back in action tonight. They're taking on Lindenwood. That game will be played in Bloomington. And their last time out, the undefeated Hoosiers beat Incarnate Word by a score of 69-61. The win wasn't impressive enough for the ranking committee. However, those Hoosiers ranked just outside of the top 25. They're sitting at 27 right now. Indiana and Lindenwood will play on the hardwood for the first time ever tonight, their first matchup. The Hoosiers hold an impressive 27-0 record against teams competing in the Ohio Valley Conference. Tonight's tip-off is at 6 o'clock, and you can watch it on the Big Ten Network. Well, a key component for the Louisville Bats in the past few years, they've had some alternate identities. They've had the Louisville Black Caps and the Derby City Mint Juleps, and yesterday they announced they'll be the Louisville Humidity for a few games this season. You'll be able to see the teams with this team name and the interesting orange jerseys there. That'll be starting on Saturday, June 13th against the Iowa Cubs. The weather-themed Louisville Humidity identity plays tribute to one of the city's most defining summer characteristics, that thick, sticky air that baseball fans know all too well, especially if you've been to a Bats game in the middle of the summer. Louisville Humidity merchandise is now on sale at the Bats team store at Louisville Slugger Field and online on the team's website. Well, some Lou City and racing players got some high honors recently, but now the head coaches are earning some recognition. USL Championship announced Lou City's Danny Cruz has been voted the 2025 USL Championship Coach of the Year after leading the club to its second consecutive Players' Shield in historic fashion, losing just once in the regular season. The honor now comes in back-to-back seasons, becoming the only the second head coach to win the award in consecutive years since the 2011 and 2012 season. So big congrats to head coach Danny Cruz there. But Cruz wasn't the only coach to win the honor in our area. Take a look right there at the award ceremony. Racing's Bev Yanez took home the NWSL Coach of the Year, becoming the first American and the first former NWSL player to win the award. In her second season as head coach, Yanez led Louisville to a historic campaign in 2025. The club finished in 7th place, its highest ever league standing, earning the first playoff berth in Racing's history. The team also set records for wins, points, goals scored, and road victories. Well deserved there. Congratulations to both of our head coaches, showing that Louisville, definitely a big soccer city. That's all the time we have here for Sunrise Extra. Thanks so much for joining us here on this Thursday. I'll be off tomorrow, so we won't have this extra 30 minutes here in the small studio, but hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend ahead.